Greetings and salutations, folks, and welcome once again, as always, to another helping of Mr H's Hot Pot. You join me today for day 14 of the UK lockdown, where I'm currently sat in the old jalopy after travelling a reasonable distance from my home address out into the countryside to take my daily exercise. Now, I've already done that today, Hot Potters. I've been out for a little bimble, where I'm joined today by Lucy. We've been out, we've stretched the old legs, and we've already made a vlog. But unfortunately, it's rather breezy out there, and the wind got captured on the camera and has spoilt the film, so I've decided to redo it and cover my main points again. Now, I've noticed over the past couple of days, whilst I've been making these vlogs, that wind is accidentally being caught on camera here and there. Normally when I make a film, I'm just pointing the camera at something and talking about it, or I'm stood in front of the camera talking about it. And it's a lot easier to manage the wind in those situations than when you're out and about and walking with a camera. So what I'm going to try and do moving forward, I'm going to try and rig up some kind of homebrew, homemade external mic, and we'll see if we can eradicate that wind moving forward. We'll see what we can do and what we can rig up. You know, I'm not too bad when it comes to working off the fly. I mean, I wasn't expecting to make this vlog again and be sat in the old jalopy. So what I've had to do, I've had to set up, believe it or not, the camera and attach it to my rear view mirror and attach it with a pair of elastic bands. We Mounties are a resourceful breed, Hot Potters. Bonus points for anybody out there who can tell me which UK advert from the 1990s that statement's from. Well, that's something for you to research afterwards. It'll give you a little bit of something to do, won't it, after watching this video. Anyway, folks, I do apologise before I go any further in today's vlog for the length of time it took for yesterday's vlog to drop and become live. I don't know what was happening out there in YouTube land yesterday, whether or not it being day 13 and it being the 13th vlog had anything to do with it, if you're superstitious and that way inclined or not. I don't know, but the internet was running really slow yesterday and it just took forever for it to upload and eventually become live. So hopefully today's vlog won't take as long and it will drop a little, be at your screens a lot earlier than yesterday's one was. Speaking of yesterday's vlog, it appears that I ruffled one or two royalist feathers yesterday. Well, I made to them inflammatory statement that I believe the Queen had dropped the ball and she'd made a mistake by not sticking with the people of London and doing a self-isolation at Buckingham Palace. Instead, she's retreated over there to Windsor Castle, hasn't she? And she's doing a self-isolation there. Personally speaking, I think it would have been a real morale booster to the people of London if she'd have stayed in London and seen this COVID virus crisis out with them. I mean, when all's said and done, the people of London see the Queen as their personal property, don't they? You know, the rest of us, she's our monarch by extension, really. You know, they really think a lot of her down there, and I think it would have been a real morale booster for her to have stayed down there and said, no, the people of London can see it out, and so can we. You know, echoing what her mother said regarding the Blitz. And I think that would have been more of a morale booster than making a speech and an address to the nation last night. Now, I didn't watch that. I said I wouldn't be watching it, and I didn't. So I can't comment on the actual content, because I've not a clue what she said in it. But the whole idea of making the speech, to me, seemed a bit of a waste of time. And I'll explain myself with saying that. That whole idea of getting the monarch to address the nation in a moment of crisis, that harks back to a different time in this nation. A time when we would have all gathered around a crackly wireless set, or those of us who was fortunate enough to be rich and could go and rent a new television made by Pi from Radio Rentals, we would have gathered around these electronic devices. We would have stood there in silent reverence and in awe as our monarch's voice crattled through the device and spoke to us. You know, that time was about the 1950s, 1960s. We're not that nation anymore, are we, Hot Potters? When all's said and done, most families now are what we call fragmented, even within their own homes. We don't take meals together. You know, you'll have your kids up in the bedroom playing away on their devices. You'd have parents sat downstairs and maybe in the same room, but they'll be on their separate electronic device. And that's just the way it is in this country now, for better or worse. You can argue that maybe we should get back to family time. Indeed, you know, governments of the past have tried to get us doing that again, but I think times have changed and we're not that nation anymore. So the Queen speaking to the nation, as well-meaning as she probably meant it, I think it was a waste of time, personally. You know, when all's said and done, she's a 93-year-old woman. She knows as much about COVID-19 and beating it as I do, or anybody else does. You know, she can't offer any other practical advice other than what we already know regarding social distancing, washing our hands more, and staying indoors as much as possible to try and avoid it. You know, I don't see why the government felt wheeling the Queen out would boost her morale. You may as well have put a rerun of On the Buzzes on. At least it would have given us something to laugh at. It's like these letters that Boris Johnson was supposedly sending to each and every household in the UK. You know, again, an exercise in futility. What could he tell us? We all knew that things are going to get worse than they are before they get better. So I don't see what the point of that was. And it seems that idea of writing to everybody in the country, after it received a little bit of criticism for the amount of money that it's going to cost, it's quietly been shelved, hasn't it? It's failed to materialise. I've certainly not received one of these letters, and I don't know of anybody who has. If you have received one, please leave a comment below and give us an insight into what Boris Johnson said in his letter. I mean, speaking of Boris Johnson, he's unfortunately had to go into hospital yesterday for tests, hasn't he? He's not been able to shake this COVID-19 virus. So, as a fellow human being, my thoughts are with him, as it is with everybody who's battling this COVID-19 at this moment in time. I mean, whatever your political persuasion is, whether you follow the Conservative Party or, you know, you're a Boris Johnson fan or not, when all's said and done, he is a fellow human being, and at this moment in time, he deserves everybody's well wishes and support. So, folks, we're now officially at the fortnight mark, aren't we? We're at that point. And moving forward, we're into what will be the last week of this initial lockdown period. And I'd just like to get everybody's thoughts on this. You know, how do you think this is going to go? Me speaking personally, I think in the next couple of days, and I had a sneaky suspicion that was the reason for the Queen's speech last night, to try and soften us up a little bit for the bad news that this lockdown period is going to extend. I personally think they'll have it extended for another fortnight after this week, so I think we've got another 3 weeks of this to look forward to, if I'm being honest. Because let's be honest, they've no answer to this, have they, the government? The only thing that they can keep telling us, you know, is to stay home, protect the NHS, save lives. That's all they can keep telling us. And it does make you wonder whether eventually we'll just have to bite the bullet as a nation, excuse me, and face COVID-19 and go out there and just get back to our daily routine and take the hit. It does make you wonder, because we can't carry on like this forever, can we? We can't stay indoors and remain inside forever and a day. You know, needless to say, the damage that it's been done to the economy and to people's livelihoods dictates that we can't carry on like this. So it does make you wonder at what stage, you know, they will start reopening the country, because they shut it down in stages, didn't they? So I figure they'll reopen it in stages as well. But I do think within the next couple of days we're going to be told that, unfortunately, the lockdown period is going to continue. I don't think they'll get any tougher with the measures, because they know that they're walking a fine silver blade with this one. And if they come down too hard on the nation, the whole thing will just crumble, and what sacrifices we have made and what bit of good has been done will be lost. Anyway, folks, once again, we're coming up to the 10-minute mark, and I'm going to wrap this video up here. Apologies, like I said, for yesterday's vlog taking so long to upload. It was just one of them things, and it was out of my control, so to speak. Right then, I'm going to bid you a fond farewell, and I'm going to head off in a moment back to my authorised zone and sector. So, until the next time, stay safe, and as always, bye-bye for now.